Здравствуйте, Роскосмос ТВ.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the pad, and thank you for joining us for our live launch coverage of the Soyuz 2.1B tonight with Arianespace launching the OneWeb, the fifth launch for OneWeb. And we're just keeping an eye on the launch here tonight. Currently, we're sitting at just under T-minus 50 minutes for the launch. Everything has progressed very well here today. The fueling has begun, and we're just going to take a closer look at their feed here, showing everything getting ready on the Cosmodrome for today's launch. We are keeping an eye out for OneWeb to start up their feed here as well for their coverage, hopefully in English, so we can hear some updates about today's launch attempt. If you have any questions, let us know in the chat. Use the hashtag AskTLP, as we are 48 minutes away from the fifth launch of the OneWeb satellite system, a competitor to Starlink. Most know of Starlink, many do not know of OneWeb, so we are working on a video for that here in the near future to be able to talk a little bit more about what OneWeb is, the opportunities coming up with them as they proceed to complete their first bit of their constellation to hopefully bring high-speed broadband via satellite to the Earth. As we get started here, as you join in, let us know where you are watching from, who you're watching with. Have you watched a OneWeb launch before? Tonight, they're going to be launching on as always, the Soyuz 2.1B. Couple highlights about the launch here today. This is the 60th launch for the Soyuz 2.1B. This is also the 25th launch attempt of anything this year for 2021. And this is going to be the fourth operational launch for the 1B or the OneWeb system. Their first launch was a test. This is also the 55th launch of a Soyuz mission operated by Arianespace. What kind of satellites are they using, and what will they be doing? Great question, NASA fan, NASA. So basically the satellites are a OneWeb satellite. We'll most likely see some pictures of them here as they're showing us some of the preparations that went into today's launch for them. But they are a small satellite, very similar to what you're thinking of for Starlink, that their aim is to have super low latency. OneWeb, very different from Starlink on the number of satellites that they'll need to have. So OneWeb plans to have 648 satellites in their constellation, providing them with 600 satellites. They need 600 for total global coverage, and they'll have 48 in orbit spares in case a satellite were to fail, and then they can move. These satellites are in a higher altitude orbit, so they're at 1,200 kilometers in a low Earth orbit for it, which is lower than some of the other ones today. They'll be traveling at 35,786. Oh, let's take a look here. I'm misreading this. Most of the internet systems that are up currently now are at 35,000 kilometers. These will be at 1,200 kilometers for it. They are quite a bit higher compared to Starlink being at 550 kilometers, fluctuating a little bit there as well. So another competitor entering the internet satellite space race coming up here. Again, if you have any questions, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the host here. Let us know in the chat if you have any. We're just going to keep our eye on the Russia feed as we wait for the OneWeb launch feed to start back up again here. They were live earlier showing the starting of fueling, but their feed was taken down at one point, and they have not been able to come up live again just yet. So we're keeping an eye on that. This is our first time covering OneWeb, so forgive us. We're learning as we go with what their coverage is like. They're still quite early in their launch coverage as well. So we're seeing what we can get from them and what we can bring here to you. But another exciting launch here tonight that we hope to be able to watch with you. We'll just take a listen in here to the Russia one and see what they are showing us here. We'll see if we can bring in a picture as well of what these satellites look like. So we'll take a look in.
На сегодняшний день в космосе работает 110 аппаратов связи OneWeb, выведенные на орбиту Земли российскими ракетами «Союз-2». Напомню историю космического сотрудничества Роскосмоса с компанией OneWeb. Она началась в феврале 2019 года, когда со стартовой площадки «Союза» Гвианского космического центра российская ракета «Союз-СТБ» с разгонным блоком «Фрегат-М» вывела в космос первые 6 спутников будущей орбитальной группировки.
Ровно через год, в феврале 2020-го, ракета-носитель «Союз-2-1Б» в связке с разгонным блоком «Фрегат» уже с космодрома Байконур успешно вывела на орбиту 34 аппарата.
Через месяц, в марте 2020-го, тоже с Байконура, российской ракетой на орбиту были выведены еще 34 спутника связи OneWeb.
А в декабре 2020 года к запускам аппаратов OneWeb подключился и новый российский космодром «Vostochny». Тогда ракета «Союз-2-1Б» с разгонным блоком «Фрегат» успешно вывела на орбиту 36 аппаратов связи. Сегодняшний пуск во многом схож с декабрьским. Ракета «Союз-2-1Б», 36 спутников под обтекателем и разгонный блок «Фрегат». К его подготовке на Восточном всегда относятся и относились и будут относиться с особым вниманием. Именно «Фрегату» предстоит вывести космические аппараты на их рабочие орбиты.
Расчетом Космического центра «Восточный» эксплуатируется оборудование, которое необходимо для проведения различных испытаний разгонного блока. У нас есть система хранения и выдачи сжатых газов, которая обеспечивает хранение и выдачу сжатого воздуха, азота и гелия давлением 400 атмосфер. Сжатые газы по технологическим трубопроводам подаются на пневмощиты раздачи. Пневмощиты установлены на рабочих местах, и с помощью них обеспечиваются пневмовакуумные испытания. Каждый день перед проведением работ мы отбираем пробы с трубопроводов и подтверждаем кондиционность наших газов, потому что требования разработчика НПО Лавочкина очень высокие. Не должно быть никаких механических примесей. Определяется влажность и точка росы газов. В случае подтверждения кондиционности газов данные газы, которые необходимы для проведения электрических испытаний. Собирается схема испытаний. К разгонному блоку «Фрегат» подключается. Собирается схема испытаний. К разгонному блоку «Фрегат» наши системы, такие как система приема и обработки телеметрической информации, система управления наземного комплекса. С помощью наших систем проверяются все исполнительные механизмы разгонного блока и вся система управления разгонного блока. Система управления разгонного блока, она сложная, обеспечивает, сам разгонный блок, он обеспечивает порядка 20 включений, то есть это вывод аппаратов на различные орбиты. Для подтверждения работоспособности проводятся проверочные включения, система обеспечения запуска двигательной установки, проверяется срабатывание всех электропневмоклапанов, всех датчиков. На разгонном блоке есть система управления и система измерений. Система управления тестируется с помощью наземного комплекса системы управления. Дальше система измерения разгонного блока, она фиксирует всю работу всех систем и передает уже для дальнейшей обработки, передает уже на наземные системы обработки и телеметрической информации. По результатам обработки телеметрической информации и делаются заключения о правильности функционирования системы управления и системы измерений. В испытаниях задействован расчет НПО Лавочкина и Космического центра «Восточный». В обеспечении работ по разгонному блоку «Фрегат» у нас задействовано порядка 30 человек только на технологических системах. Также необходимо обеспечить в монтажно-испытательном корпусе необходимые условия для проведения испытаний. Это обеспечить температуро-влажностный режим и чистовой режим. Эксплуатация технических систем также возложена на Космический центр «Восточный». Здесь задействовано гораздо больше людей. Порядка 50 человек у нас обеспечивают свет, тепло.
В прямом эфире Роскосмос ТВ, и мы показываем, как готовиться к сегодняшнему пуску космодрома Восточный. Любопытные подробности об аппаратах OneWeb, которые сегодня должны отправиться на орбиту. Итак, каждый аппарат весит около 150 килограммов. Рабочая орбита аппаратов полярно-круговая. Ее высота от 500 до 1500 километров. Спутники оснащаются двумя солнечными батареями, бортовым датчиком спутниковой навигации и плазменной двигательной установкой. Вы смотрите Роскосмос ТВ. У нас в студии Михаил Викторович Каркунов. Это генеральный директор легендарного конструкторского бюро «Факел», многолетнего лидера разработки эффективных электрических двигательных систем, в том числе знаменитых СПД, стационарных плазменных двигателей, благодаря которым многие российские, да и зарубежные спутники, собственно, и перемещаются в космическом пространстве. Михаил Викторович, спасибо, что пришли к нам в студию, нашли время пообщаться. Уверен, это будет интересно. И, собственно, первый вопрос. СПД. Их преимущество, сфера применения?
Стационарный плазменный двигатель – это одна из разновидностей электрических ракетных двигателей. Идея создания двигателя принадлежала советскому ученому Алексею Ивановичу Морозову в начале 60-х годов. Это двигатель, основное преимущество у него – это двигатель имеет высокий удельный импульс. Двигатель был разработан в ОКБ «Факел» в начале 60-х годов. Первое применение он нашел в космических аппаратах типа ГАЛС. Двигатель выполнял функцию ориентации, коррекции. В последнее время очень нашло применение широкое. Это довыведение космических аппаратов с опорной орбиты до рабочей орбиты. На сегодняшний момент в ВКБ разработан целый параметрический ряд данного типа двигателя.
Параметрически это с различными параметрами,
с различными параметрами, я имею в виду для различных космических аппаратов, от малых до тяжелых. Это на данный момент являются самыми лучшими двигателями как в России, так и за рубежом.
Вот по состоянию на нынешний момент актуальное количество работающих двигателей СПД производства
Начало
«Факела».
2021 года в эксплуатации двигателей СПД на орбите находится 782 двигателя, как на российских, так и на зарубежных космических аппаратах. У такого двигателя нет источника энергии в обычном, привычном нашем понимании. В качестве рабочего тела используется ксенон, инертный газ. Двигатель из себя представляет анодный блок, катодный блок. В принципе, сам по себе он прост. Но есть моменты, которые заставляют этот двигатель быть своего рода handmade. То есть просто так его не сделаешь. Об этом, над этим изделием специалисты «Факела» трудились не одно десятилетие. В итоге получился такой двигатель, который удовлетворяет по цене и качеству, и по срокам изготовления как заказчиков, потребителей. Поэтому мы занимаем лидирующее положение в отрасли.
А с какого времени и на каких космических аппаратах двигатели «Факела» устанавливаются, работают?
В 1974 году было произведено успешное испытание плазменного двигателя ЭОЛ. После успешных полетов в 1980 году Калининградская ОКБ начинает производить двигатель СПД-70. Вот цифры, которые идут, 70, 100, 140 – это диаметр разрядной камеры, чтобы понимать в классификации двигателей. Затем двигатель был установлен на спутнике «Гейзер». В 1984 году была новая модель СПД-100, разработана на спутнике связи ГАЛС-1. С 1995 года СПД используется в системах коррекции ориентации связных геостационарных спутников типа.
We're going to fix that there. There we go. Sorry about that. Well, hello, everyone. And if you're just joining us, welcome back. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the Launchpad, and we are here for our live coverage of tonight's OneWeb-5 launch on the Soyuz 2.1B. We are currently about 33 minutes away from launch. What you're seeing on your screen here is this is the live feed from Roscosmos with Russia, and then we also have the live feed from Arianespace. So we're just waiting for them to start up their feed as well. It is actually live right now, but they're just showing a thumbnail this time. If you're just joining us again, welcome, hello. Let us know where you are watching from in the chat. I know we see Carlos there. We see Paul. Paul, how are we looking for SN11 to fly this weekend? We're not too sure. They had road closures and TFRs that were in place. They did cancel the Thursday one. There is still stuff in place for Friday with TFRs, but not road closures. So we're still waiting to see. They did have what looked to be a really successful static fire. Nothing from Elon on changing out engines or anything like we normally would hear. So we're waiting to hear maybe something Friday. If not, we were talking in our Discord earlier. So if you haven't joined us on Discord, definitely jump in on there for some behind the scenes and kind of know what's coming up in the near future. But for SN11, they haven't done any Starship launches or hops really on the weekends as of late, if ever. So most likely, if we don't see something Friday, we'd probably see another Monday attempt, which I believe the last one was on Monday or Tuesday for it. So we'll hopefully see something this week. But stay tuned on Twitter or our Discord, and you'll know what is there. Andrea, launch time, we are at T-minus 31 minutes and 40 seconds until liftoff here tonight. Will, hello. Yeah, I know, one more. Come on. Who's going to be that 250th? Watching from the satellite factory in Florida. Oh, amazing. Which satellite factory? Can you say which satellites you work on? Because that is awesome. A little bit more about tonight, and I apologize because I'm definitely going to butcher probably some of the words, but it's launching from Site 1S at the Vostochny Cosmodrome in Russia here tonight. This is an Arianespace and Russia Federal Space Agency launch carrying the OneWeb system. This is their 5th launch of OneWeb, their 4th operational launch. Oh, amazing. Well, here's to an exciting launch for you guys here tonight. We're hoping everything goes well. The weather looks beautiful for today's launch, so that's always a win. It's not rainy like it was a couple nights ago for the last Soyuz there, but this is the 60th launch of the Soyuz 2.1B, the 55th Soyuz launch using Arianespace, the 4th operational launch, as I said, for OneWeb, and this is the 25th orbital launch attempt of any agency in 2021, and we are, just kind of coming up at the end of March, so things are definitely picking up to kind of head towards setting that record of another most launches in a year for it. Just keeping an eye on to make sure we don't miss that one going live. There we go. Currently tonight, they're going to be launching 34 of the new OneWeb internet communication satellites into a orbit to continue the expansion of their constellation. The goal is to bring semi-low latency internet to locations where ground-based internet is unreliable or unavailable. So a similar mission to the idea of Starlink. It's awesome seeing multiple companies and organizations starting into this, because when there's competition, that's when we see things get cheaper, but also there be more focus on them as well. So exciting to see. 36. Okay, good to know. I'm going to make that note here because that is wrong in my notes. Before the next one, is Nanda? I want to say it's Nanda. We should connect and we'll make sure we know all the facts. Send us a DM and we'll connect with you. So do you have any information you can share then in the chat? Anything we should know about tonight's launch attempt here? From what I believe I know, they need 648 satellites for their constellation. They want to have 600 satellites for the global coverage, and then we'll have the rest as extras in orbit in case they have a satellite failure. once the OneWeb constellation is fully deployed and operational. The offerings will include 3G, LTE, 5G, and Wi-Fi coverage, providing high-speed access globally by air, sea, and land. So everything definitely opening up that coverage, no matter where you are in the world. Currently, based on the press release that they're saying they are focused on scaling the satellite constellation to be able to launch services by the end of 2021, which is coming up pretty quick, which is awesome, for UK, Alaska, Canada, Northern Europe, Greenland, Iceland, and the Arctic seas. Someone in Northern Canada who's right on the edge of where Starlink is available. I'm actually just a bit north of kind of the edge of where Starlink ends. Be interesting to see what OneWeb offerings will look like once that constellation. That's awesome to hear. That everything is go for tonight. OneWeb Satellites is a joint venture between OneWeb and Airbus Defence and Space. And the initial orbit will be for 450 kilometers. And then after separation, the satellites will raise themselves to their operational orbit at 1,200 kilometers. We're going to take just a quick break. Again, if you have any questions, let us know in the chat. Use the hashtag AskTLP. We're going to listen in here to the Russia feed as we wait for Arianespace to go live as well. And we will be right back.
За 3 дня до пуска 22 марта в 7 часов 30 минут по местному времени распахнулись ворота технического комплекса. И ракета космического назначения медленно, со скоростью 5 км в час, движется к стартовой площадке. Так начинаются 3 предстартовых дня подготовки.
Это прямая трансляция пуска с российского космодрома Vostochny ракеты-носителя Soyuz-2-1B, которая в связке с разгонным блоком «Фрегат» выведет на орбиту 36 спутников связи OneWeb. Старт в 5 часов 47 минут по московскому времени.
С российской стороны запуски британских спутников связи обеспечивает компания «Главкосмос», входящая в госкорпорацию «Роскосмос». Накануне пуска наш корреспондент Сергей Тюрин побеседовал с генеральным директором компании «Главкосмос» Дмитрием Лоскутовым, который сейчас находится на Восточном.
Ну, это действительно международный проект в самом широком смысле. Сейчас активную роль начала играть Индия в обновленном проекте OneWeb. Там, в принципе, он сам по себе интернациональный, как и в плане команды OneWeb, так и в плане инвесторов этого проекта. Для нас это, безусловно, бесценный опыт по выведению достаточно серьезным темпом запусков группировок космических аппаратов на низкую околоземную орбиту. Главкосмос выступает координатором работы по данному проекту, то есть фактически выполняет функции единого окна для инозаказчика. В частности, мы ведем переговоры с ним по графику пусков с учетом плана запусков по ФКП. Также мы взаимодействуем, получаем информацию от них по космическим аппаратам, по диспенсеру для того, чтобы формировать заключение на пуск. Также есть такие технические моменты взаимодействия с нашей кооперацией, с нашими предприятиями. И есть и нетривиальные такие задачи совершенно. Допустим, компания пусковая во время пандемии показала, что необходима координация даже таких вещей, как санитарно-эпидемиологическая безопасность клиентов и заказчиков. Это потребовало и взаимодействия с федеральными органами исполнительной власти, с Роспотребнадзором, с ФМБА. Поэтому такая функция интегратора, она себя, в общем-то, оправдала. Мы надеемся, что этот год будет достаточно интенсивным по запускам. Если заказчик обеспечит готовность космических аппаратов, хотелось бы рассчитывать, что запуски смогут осуществляться с 3 различных космодромов: Восточный, Байконур и Гвианский космический центр, практически каждый месяц. Помимо OneWeb, достаточно известный проект — это «Союз» в Гвианском космическом центре. Там Главкосмос также является интегратором, координатором работ, обеспечивает бесшовное взаимодействие с Arianespace на всех этапах работ. Помимо этого, мы ведем достаточно серьезные проекты с Республикой Индия в плане ее пилотируемой программы «Гаганьян», ну и также еще ряд контрактов с Китаем и Индией. Также у нас есть ряд проектов по научно-технической линии, естественно, с тщательным соблюдением российского законодательства в области экспортного контроля. Ну и сейчас появляются новые задачи, такие как космический туризм. Роскосмос поручил главкосмосу заниматься развитием направления космического туризма в прошлом году. В частности, ну, понятен профессиональный и общественный интерес к этой теме, поскольку линейка космических кораблей расширяется, да, мы видим появление на рынке американских космических кораблей, там Китай развивает свою пилотируемую программу. В этой связи мы приступили вместе с Роскосмосом к созданию опережающего задела по созданию матчасти, для того, чтобы мы могли предложить коммерческие космические полеты по конкурентоспособной цене во второй половине 2023 года. Потому что мы должны занять свою нишу в этом крайне интересном бизнесе. Мы должны быть конкурентоспособны, должны давать продукт высокого качества, безопасный, привлекательный.
Мы ведем прямую трансляцию запуска аппаратов связи компании OneWeb с российского космодрома «Восточный». Космодром расположен в Амурской области, вблизи молодого города Циолковский. Общая площадь Восточного около 700 квадратных километров.
Доминанта космодрома – это уникальная конструкция высотой примерно 16-этажный дом. Это МБО – мобильная башня обслуживания, которая позволяет проводить все работы по подготовке к старту в любых климатических условиях. А они, на Восточном, поверьте, суровые. Кроме того, мобильная башня обеспечивает высокий уровень безопасности боевого расчета, занятого на предстартовой подготовке.
Башня обслуживания Восточного – результат опыта, полученного при создании российскими специалистами, аналогичные башни на стартовой площадке «Союза» в Гвианском космическом центре. После установки ракеты-носителя в стартовое сооружение МБО как бы надвигается на нее, а незадолго до старта отходит примерно на 100 метров. Скорость движения башни – 12 метров в минуту.
Hello, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world right now. Welcome to Launch 5, our latest OneWeb satellites launch. My name is Maurizio Vanotti, and I will be your host today. Shortly, we will see another 36 OneWeb satellites joining the 110 already flying in our constellation at 1,200 kilometers above our heads. This is the 5th launch in our mission sequence, and is the latest exciting step in our continuing journey to connect the unconnected, thanks to high-speed internet from space. This project is about providing new opportunities to people and businesses, from access to learning to enabling new ventures to government services. And you can watch with us as our latest satellite batch take flight, live from the Vostochny Cosmodrome. OneWeb's network is designed to enable a better connected world if we are to narrow the digital divide that separates people and businesses. Even as more and more of us move online, we still have significant gaps, not just in terms of availability, affordability, and access to broadband. By the end of this year, OneWeb infrastructure will deliver continuous connectivity at latitudes higher than 50 degrees north, introducing commercial service in the UK, Northern Europe, Canada, and Alaska. OneWeb will connect you with fast internet and low latency, whether you are at sea, airborne, or in the middle of nowhere, providing truly global coverage by 2022. And in the past year, we've seen more than ever the importance of being connected to each other. It's why we are committed to a revolutionary network in low Earth orbit. And it's why we're here today. Thank you for joining us. None of that would be possible without the support and expertise of our colleagues at Arianespace. And the countdown to today's launch began many months ago. The Soyuz ST-30 rocket will launch us into orbit within the next 15 minutes. So let's now go to Stéphane Israël, the CEO of Arianespace, for an update to their preparations.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am in Évry from our remote flight desk with my colleagues of Arianespace and Starsem. I want to thank all of you for being with us for this fifth launch for OneWeb. We are going to deliver 36 more satellites. The mission will last 3 hours and 51 minutes. The separation will be 4x4. And we will deliver the satellite at an altitude, separation altitude of 450 kilometers. Then the satellites will go by their own means to their final altitude at 1,200 kilometers. I really want tonight to thank all our teams which have been involved in this campaign in Vostochny. I want to thank our Russian partners with whom we have an outstanding cooperation. And for sure, I want to say my recognition to our trusted customer, OneWeb, with whom we are now building an incredible journey. So we are now a few minutes from the launch. All the news we have are positive to go for the liftoff in a few minutes. But let's wait now for the final countdown and enjoy the launch with all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stéphane. The launch of our satellites today is the first step on a complex journey for them to get to the final destination in orbit. So let's look in a bit more detail at that journey. Joining me now and for the rest of the broadcast is Vincent Baudel, the Advanced Studies Director at Arianespace, who can take us through the launch step by step. Welcome, Vincent. Would you like to take us through the next launch sequence?
Hi, Maurizio, and hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you tonight. So while the tonight's mission of the Soyuz will start with the booster, the 4 booster phase for a duration of approximately 2 minutes. After their separation, the second stage of the launch vehicle, that is to say the core stage, will take the reins during less than 3 minutes, and the fairing will then be jettisoned. Few seconds before separation of the core stage, the third stage will be ignited, and the central core will then be separated. 9 minutes and 22 seconds after liftoff, the third stage will be separated from the nose module. The nose module, includes the frigate upper stage, the dispenser, and the 36 OneWeb satellites. The frigate upper stage mission will start with the first ignition of its main engine in order to reach the intermediate transfer orbit, followed by a long ballistic phase. A second ignition will be performed for circularization and injection into the satellite separation orbit. The satellite's release sequence will start with first the separation of the 4 satellites integrated on the top conical part of the dispenser, and then successive separations of the 32 satellites integrated on the cylindrical part of the dispenser from the top row to the bottom row and 4 satellites at once. So as illustrated on the 3D animation, it means that 9 separation events are necessary for the complete release of the 36 satellites. And between each separation events, the sequence is identical, so 19 minutes, which consist in a series of maneuvers. So firstly, a tilting of the nose module, then a boost of the frigate attitude control system with a very small delta V during few seconds to ensure enough distance between the satellites and avoid any collision. Then a new tilting of the nose module to the required orientation for the satellite separation. And the separation is ordered by the frigate upper stage, a smooth separation ensured by a relaxation of the specific spring. So the end of this complex release sequence occurs a little bit less than 4 hours after the liftoff, with the last and the ninth satellite separation.
Vincent, thank you. I hope that helps you to understand the journey that awaits our satellites very soon. This is how we're going to be able to bridge digital divides, but now let us look for a moment at who will benefit. When we talk of connecting remote communities, you may think of mountain villages in Tibet or remote communities in Africa. And this is true, but there are several examples closer to what we think of as a developed world. One of these is the US state of Alaska, where the limitations of ground-based communications still leave communities and residents isolated. Liesl Maguire, OneWeb advisor and former Alaska state senator, will explain more.
Happy launch day to the entire team of OneWeb. Your Alaska team on the ground is excitedly watching alongside all of you. Today's launch represents one more milestone in the important journey that we have all been on to deliver fiber from the sky to some of the least connected people on the planet. I joined OneWeb 4 years ago because it was the only LEO spatial constellation project that made a commitment to covering Alaska and the Arctic first. What an exciting day for our people. The pandemic has only highlighted the challenges that we have here. More than 40% of people in our state remain under and unconnected, separating search and rescue teams from their victims that are in peril, separating doctors from their patients, separating students from their teachers, leaving generations of people in the Arctic and Alaska behind. OneWeb's commitment to the people of our state and the Arctic is nothing short of miraculous. In a state and in a place that ends up being last for almost everything and first in a lot of things we wouldn't like to be, finally today we're one step closer to the dream of being connected the way that so many people on the planet are. Congratulations to the entire team of OneWeb. We look forward to another successful launch and to launching our service here in the state this summer.
Thank you, Liesl. I think that video shows exactly why we're doing this, to give equal access to healthcare, to education, to business, to all. And to show you exactly how it will work on the ground, we are now joined by Chuck Schuman, a dear friend and CEO of Pacific Dataport.
Welcome to Talkeetna, Alaska, site of OneWeb's Gateway, or SMP, for Alaska and the North American Arctic. Hello. I'm Chuck Schuman, CEO of Pacific Dataport. We're working together with OneWeb to finally bridge the digital divide in Alaska with OneWeb's high-speed, low-latency connectivity. Pacific Dataport was founded to solve the lack of connectivity in Alaska. We share OneWeb's vision to connect everyone, everywhere. I have worked in satellite communications here for over 40 years. This is by far the most exciting time for me to see that vision come true. We selected OneWeb to work with because of their commitment, vision, and willingness to work with local partners to deliver a solution that will serve all of Alaska. I'm standing here in front of Denali, the Great One, which is the mountain behind me, to tell you about OneWeb's project to provide the world with high-speed, low-latency connectivity. It starts here at the Talkeetna Teleport. The antennas behind me communicate with the hundreds of OneWeb low Earth orbiting satellites orbiting the Earth. At any given time, there will be several satellites above Alaska that can see and communicate with this SMP. The satellites then communicate with user terminals like this. We call these UTs. UTs can be located anywhere in Alaska, at a school, health clinic, community Wi-Fi, a business or a wireless service provider. Anyone, anywhere with access to OneWeb UT will be able to communicate back to Talkeetna through the satellite and then be connected to the internet. With this launch, the excitement is building in Alaska. Soon, Alaskans anywhere in our state will be able to connect to everywhere. Best wishes from Talkeetna to the OneWeb launch team. Let's connect Alaska. Go OneWeb.
And with that, we are coming up on T-minus 5 minutes on the count, which means that the rocket will transfer to onboard power supply to make final preparations. At 2 minutes, 25 seconds until liftoff, the upper composite umbilical cord will receive the drop-off command. At T-minus 45 seconds, we'll be expecting to see the ground onboard power transfer occur. We won't really see it, but we'll hear it. At T-minus 19 seconds, that's when the lower stage will separate from the mast and have that retract. At T-minus 16 seconds, we will see ignition. T-minus 11 seconds, that's when we'll see the primary thrust begin, and then we will see liftoff at T0. You're watching the live launch coverage of OneWeb, an Arianespace launch on the Soyuz 2.1B. Let's take a listen in.
You can see on the video, the complete launch vehicle has been transferred to the launch pad. Once arrived on the launch pad, the launch vehicle has been vertically tilted and the mobile gantry has been safely installed around the launcher. The launch pad operation has then been initiated with line connection, setup, and laptop verifications. And finally, the countdown and dress rehearsal have finally been run successfully at D-2, so 2 days before the launch day.
It's great to see the rocket in position. This may be our 5th launch, but it's just as exciting as the first one for the OneWeb team. Vincent, what's happening in the countdown? How are things looking?
Well, final ops are running as expected. So the beginning of the launch vehicle final automatic sequence has been initiated manually at I0 - 5 minutes with a turn of key in start position. So it is an operation called Kluch na start in Russian, so key on start. The purging operation are as well ongoing. And on Frigate, the transfer has been done to the onboard power supply. So right now, 2 minutes and 25 seconds before liftoff, the umbilical connectors will be separated. So it will be done very, very soon. And before this connection, the communications between the ground and the launcher upper part were provided by this electrical link. So in the meantime, there is pressurization of the Soyuz 3-stage tanks. And 45 seconds before liftoff, the transfer will be done to the 3-stage onboard power.
Thank you, Vincent. We've got a long journey ahead of us. We have a lot of satellites to drop off at different locations. It's a complex mission for Soyuz and will be just under 4 hours. Vincent, can you talk us through what's going to happen in the final seconds before liftoff and the ignition sequence?
Well, concerning this ignition sequence, so we will have a progressive increasing of the thrust level. So this progressive sequence will enable to check that the engines work nominally. First, there will be the ignitions, 16 seconds before liftoff. Then a preliminary thrust level, 20% at 11 seconds before liftoff. The intermediate thrust level, 85% 4 seconds before liftoff. And finally, at liftoff time, we will have the full thrust level.
Thank you, Vincent. We are less than 1 minute from liftoff. I guess you've seen maybe tens, if not hundreds of launches. How do you leave these moments, Vincent? What are your feelings? We obviously are pretty tense and excited at the same time, but from your perspective, how do you leave these final stages?
So it's always a particular moment and a fantastic moment. So as well some, I would say, emotional moments. So as usual, so it is a famous rocket you will see tonight. So let's go, yes, with the final sequence.
And this time we're going to be able to enjoy a daytime launch. When we launched in December, it was a night launch. So let's look at it from a different perspective. Enjoy the launch.
Предварительная. Промежуточная. Главное. Подъем.
Прошел контакт подъема. Двигатели центрального и боковых блоков вышли на режим главной ступени.
Very exciting. So today we are launching in plane 7 of our constellation. This is the reason why we are launching at a particular time of the day. We are going to plane 7, and it's a long way to go. It's going to be a 4-hour journey before all the 36 satellites will be released. At present, the boosters are doing all the work. They're pushing up against the Earth's gravity, and they will burn all their propellant in just under 2 minutes. Vincent, can you briefly explain how you're getting telemetry from the rocket?
50 секунд. Давление в камерах сгорания двигателей ракеты.
Yes, so we have the
60 секунд. Полет
sorry,
нормальный.
yes, Maurizio. So we are getting the information from teams in the CVI.
70 секунд.
So the control visual media in French. So this is in fact, this operation team is tracking the launch vehicle and receive all the telemetry data from the launch vehicle, so they can consequently confirm when the major events during the flight have occurred.
Thank you, Vincent. And we also have a live feed from the rocket itself, so we're looking forward to receiving confirmation of the jetson of the boosters. Actually, we're going to be able to look at it in real time. So after the boosters have burnt all the propellant, we don't need them anymore. So that is part of the plan, and we're going to be shedding weight just 1 minute and 58 seconds after the launch. And we have the jetson of the boosters. Fantastic. So Vincent, everything is nominal so far.
Yes, everything is nominal so far. So just before the separation, so we have the maximum acceleration level at the end of this first stage flight phase. So the first stage of the launch vehicle consists in four boosters arranged around the central core. So 45 tons each, and each powered by an ARD 107A engine, and producing a total thrust of 340 tons at liftoff. And of course, that their job is to get the launch vehicle away from the Earth. So we have the confirmation of this good separation, yes.
So the next step will be the fairing separation, the jetson of fairing. So yes. While we look forward to this moment, take us through what's happening right now on board of Soyuz ST-30.
Yeah, so maybe few words about the fairing, and that has several jobs. So most notably, it's protecting the satellites from severe conditions of the launch and atmosphere. So there is the acoustic vibrations at liftoff, and also frictions when the launcher is flying through the dense part of the atmosphere. So at a very high speed.
And we've just seen the jetson of the fairing in real time. That's
at the present
fantastic.
altitude, yes, there is no more atmosphere, so no need to maintain the fairing on the launcher to protect the satellite. So the launcher is liberated from any dead weight. So we can confirm now the effective and correct separation of the fairing.
Thank you. And it's also interesting to try to visualize what's inside the fairing. So the satellites are attached to what is called a central dispenser in a configuration that resembles a corn kernel. The satellites themselves have a shape of a truncated pyramid. That is the configuration that maximizes the number of satellites inside the fairing itself. And as you So we are now at the end of the second stage phase, and Vincent, tell us what's going on.
So yes, during the second stage flight, there was a maximum level, maximum acceleration level just before the separation of the second stage. So the second stage is now separated, and it's a turn, as you can see on the 3D animation, the turn of the third stage to burn. This third stage is powered by one RD 124 engine, producing a thrust of 30 tons. It will burn for approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Vincent. Our mission has many direct benefits, but we also want it to be an inspiration. We want everyone to see the possibilities and the excitement in space science, and for some people to be inspired enough to choose it as a career. Space scientist Dr. Maggie Adorin-Pocock has played a key role in encouraging students to think about careers in space and science. She joins us now to give her view on what this project can do to inspire people to look to the stars for their future.
Hi, I'm Dr. Maggie, and I work as a space scientist. And I'm very lucky because I love my job. Working in space gives you opportunities that are literally out of this world. Through my career, I've worked on sort of the James Webb Space Telescope, the largest space telescope ever built. But I've also worked on Earth observation satellites that give us a better understanding of our planet. Space truly does cover it all. But there's a space here for you too. Many people think that as a space scientist or working in the space industry, you have to be a rocket scientist. And that's so not true. The space industry is very diverse. We need people of all sorts of disciplines. If you think about it, in an industry, you need human resources, you need PR, you need finance, you need all these different people, legal, all coming together to make a company work. And it's just the same in space. So if you've always been reaching for the stars and looking out there, maybe there's a place in space for you. Do join us because we have a fantastic time. One of the things I love about space is just the diversity, meeting people from other countries. Space is truly global, but space is truly thriving here in the UK. Over the last few years, the space industry has been booming here, and we're diversifying and doing many different things. As a Black female scientist, when I tell people I'm a space scientist, they look a little surprised sometimes. But space is a global enterprise, and it needs a diverse workforce. And that workforce could include you. Do join us. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Maggie, and don't forget to look out for jobs that are on our website. The launch phases are always extremely exciting, and we are looking forward to confirming stage 3 separation. While waiting for that, let's take a moment to highlight that we are deploying our ground network infrastructure as well. And this is a key element, which are the satellite access portals distributed across the globe that will enable commercial service introduction by the end of 2021. Vincent, where are we at right now, and when do you think we're going to be able to confirm the stage separation and the frigate ignition?
Yes, so we are in the third stage flight. So all the parameters are nominal, so everything is fully on track. Okay. So in a few seconds, there will be the ignition of the third stage. And just after, yes, you can see the 3D animation of the third stage separation. And well, now it's the frigate upper stage is now getting ready to switch on its main engine. So the first step is called the pre-burn phase for a duration of 55 seconds. It's giving a quick burst of acceleration, so to push the propellants or the fluids back to the tank. Like when you accelerate in a car, you get pinged back against the seat. So this is the first step of the frigate mission. This first ignition enables to inject the nose module into an intermediate transfer orbit, so an elliptical orbit. And the duration of this boost is just over 5 minutes. So we will be able to confirm now the ignition in few seconds, yes.
Thank you, Vincent. So the next phase of the journey started, and the frigate is really the smartest part of the rocket, with its own brain, its own onboard computer that is responsible for reigniting the engine, reorientating the upper stage, and its job is ultimately to deliver the satellites where we want them to be. So we call it our celestial bus driver. But now let's have a look at the performance of our user terminals.
Here we are connecting to the OneWeb satellite on this orbit. So here we have the satellite number 95, which go over Florida.
Very confident about this one.
Yeah, it's going quite well. The SNR are good, and the data rate seems very good, so perfect. Yeah, the SNR is the ratio between the signal received and the noise at the terminal side. So this is a metric that we are using to assess the quality of the communication. So here we have around 15 dB SNR, which is very good. And we managed to get 500 megabit there.
Wow! That's great. So 32 is
39, 36.
So I think what's really key here is that, like, I can see you guys speaking, and the sound is complete. The latency tells the story here, right? This is perfect.
Here you can see that there is two Antillean antenna, which are tracking our satellite and switching from one satellite to another when there is handover.
Seeing every couple of minutes, we hand over, every 11 seconds we're handing over beams, every few minutes we're handing over satellites. There's no impact on the team session, right? There's no pixelation, there's no jitter. Perfect.
It's great to see OneWeb in action. We are now at just roughly around 13 minutes after liftoff, and let's have another look at launch of ST-30 that just happened. Vincent, what are your feelings right now? So far, everything has been nominal.
Yes, everything has been nominal. So we had the confirmation of the first ignition of the frigate main engine. So everything is going nominal. So as you can see on the video, yeah, always a spectacular and emotional moment. So far, ops are running as expected. So the flight operation are running as expected. of course, here in France and in Russia, we are still tracking the launcher. So, well, to be quite specific and perfectly precise, and as usual, statistics speaks for themselves. So the tonight's launch is the 1936th Soyuz launch since the introduction of this famous rocket in the 60s as a workhorse of the Soviet and Russian space program. So it is quite fantastic and a spectacular launch record. So, and to be noted as well that tonight's launch is the second purely commercial launch from the Vostochny Cosmodrome in Siberia. The first one was, of course, the previous OneWeb launch successfully performed in last December.
And it's been a very long launch campaign for the launch team that is out there in Vostochny, Siberia right now. Not only they had to face the challenges and the intricacies of the launch campaign, but also the challenges imposed by the COVID restrictions. So they had to quarantine in Moscow for 2 weeks before transfer to launch site in Vostochny. So thank you very much for their support, their effort, and for being away from their families. Vincent, what is the status of the frigate right now?
Well, we are at the end of the first ignition. So in few seconds, it will be the scheduled moment. Yes, it is the scheduled moment for frigate to switch off its engine. So we enter now a ballistic phase. We are traveling high enough and fast enough to cruise without the engine. So during this phase, we optimize the orientation of the launcher in order to ensure the best condition for frigate and the 30 satellites. So this ballistic phase is done with a barbecue mode during 45 minutes. Barbecue mode, so that is to say a rotation around of the nose module around its longitudinal axis. So it is done to optimize the thermal conditions and the sun illumination of the frigate upper stage and of course of the satellites.
So the next phase of the journey starts after the ballistic phase, and take us to the next steps.
Yeah, so after this long ballistic phase, there will be a second ignition of the frigate main engine. So in order to circularize the orbit and to inject the nose module into the satellite separation orbit. So this second ignition has a very short duration compared to the first ignition. So only 32 seconds. And after that, there will be 9 successive separation events for the complete release of the 36 satellites. And between each event, each separation event, there will be a boost of the frigate attitude control system with a very small delta V during a few seconds in order to ensure enough distance between the satellites and to avoid, of course, any collision.
What is going to happen over the next few hours is that the frigate will perform a series of 9 school bus drop-offs, as we like to call them, releasing 36 satellites in groups of 4. In doing so, we have to remember that the frigate has 1 gear only, so it's a school bus with 1 gear only, which means that after each satellite separation, we have fewer satellites attached to the dispenser, which will make the core kernel lighter. For this reason, the frigate will have to fire for a shorter period of time its thruster. Also, noted in doing so, we're actually slowing down, which means that the first satellites we separated are ahead of us. After separation, the LEOP starts, and our satellite operation centers between London and Virginia will take control of the satellites. Now, the importance of being connected is something we've all seen this year. It is also something that has inspired our CEO, Neil Masterson, who can join us now for a quick update on the OneWeb rollout.
Expanding access to connectivity is becoming central to modern day life. It is central to the digital economies, to economic growth, to education, to healthcare. Look, we've all experienced it during the time of COVID, how important it is to be connected. And in many ways, it's becoming close to a necessity in the modern world. We're moving at real pace, and I'm delighted by the progress that we're making. In addition to relaunching our satellite production lines, we are launching satellite, we are engaging with customers. We're seeing a lot of demand and a lot of interest for our services moving forward. And we're very excited to be rolling out our service. So for those of you watching, I hope you're sharing in our excitement. We have a lot of visibility, and that's why we're so excited. We have launches coming up during the course of the summer. We're also, the pace of network build out that we're embarking on, I think is unprecedented. We are moving very quickly with real speed, real precision, and real determination.
Thank you, Neil. And with these words, we are at launch plus 19 minutes and 30 seconds. Our fifth launch is underway, and the latest batch of OneWeb satellites will soon be on their separation altitude of 450 kilometers. Soon, they will make their way to their predetermined mission orbit, 1,200 kilometers above the Earth. At that point, we will have 146 satellites in orbit, placing us 1/4 of the way in achieving our connectivity mission. Over this past year, we've all seen the importance of being connected to each other, whether that be for scientists and doctors to work together efficiently, or simply being able to see our friends and families. And for our team, it's been a personal mission, this year more than ever. Behind every single one of our satellites is a team of over 200 OneWeb colleagues in many countries across the world, from designers and engineers to manufacturing, finance, legal, human resources, commercial, IT, and logistics. They're working side by side to support our singular aim, to connect us all. I would like to take this moment to extend my personal thanks to each and every one of them. Your efforts, our efforts, every day have brought us to this moment. Also, my many thanks to the team at Arianespace, and in particular Stéphane Israel and Vincent Baudel, who joined us today, and the colleagues from OneWeb Satellites in Florida. Without their support and expertise, we simply could not fulfill our mission. Together, as one team, we are changing the world. This is the year OneWeb will bring opportunities to all, through new network solutions that can apply satellite and broadband technology in more universal and smarter ways. Our launch animation will continue to be broadcast, so you can see the satellites being separated. You can also follow our mission and progress across the OneWeb social media channels. We are going to transform the way you think about connectivity and how you use it. Our next launch will be in April, another step towards our goal. From me and all the OneWeb team, thank you for watching, and we will see you in April for Launch 6. Thank you and goodbye.
And just like that, we are complete of here tonight. OneWeb has completed their launch coverage of 5, as it does take, as they said, many hours to do their deployment. If you follow them over on Twitter, you'll be able to stay up to date with them on the deployment of those satellites. But from here at the launch pad, we're going to wrap it up here for tonight. Thank you for being here with us for our first quick coverage of OneWeb. It was great having you. If you haven't yet, subscribe to us on YouTube, plug in on Discord for some behind the scenes, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. And we will see you hopefully later this week for our live launch coverage of Starship. This is Zach with the Launchpad signing.